Good morning. So I'm very, very happy to be here at Stanford for the Breakthrough Discuss meeting. So I'm Charles Alcock. I'm the director of the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics, generally known as the CFA. What's not so generally known is that the Center for Astrophysics is a legal fiction. There's no such institution, it doesn't exist, but I'm its director. And furthermore, this institution that doesn't exist, but everyone knows about it, is delighted to sponsor Breakthrough Discuss. But what we are really is the collaboration of two quite different institutions, Harvard and Smithsonian. And we collaborate in a wide area of astrophysics, but we're particularly engaged in the emerging study of planets orbiting nearby stars. And that's what really brings us together as multiple communities with very different backgrounds for this meeting. I'm just going to mention a small number of names, doing a little bit of local boosterism, but we've been interested in the stars and the potential for planets for a long time. A lot of that's associated with Dave Latham, who got a lot of the PRV work started. Dave Charbonneau, who's here in the audience, and a number of his students, some of whom are here, has done a lot of the early work on transits, the first secondary transit, and the early detection of thermal radiation from an exoplanet. And we'll also be meeting Mercedes Lopez-Morales, who's done a lot of the early work on characterization. She was recently awarded 500 orbits of space telescope time, the largest award for exoplanet work in history. And she's prominent on the oxygen story. But I can't get through this without mentioning and highlighting Avi Loeb, who's really brought us into this world with his early enthusiasm for Starshot, energizing a group of brilliant young people at the CFA to collaborate with people he's meeting here. And I think it's just going to be an extraordinary confluence of intellectual threads over the next couple of days. I'd particularly like to thank our real hosts, our real sponsors, Mr. Milner and Pete Worden. And then I'd like to end with just a note on ambition. Oftentimes when I'm talking up, for instance, the search for evidence for life with colleagues in high-energy astrophysics per se, it always seems a little far-fetched to them. And of course, far-fetched today is the discovery of tomorrow. I think it's going to be really interesting to be in a meeting where some of what we want to do astronomically looks almost conservative. And I think it's going to be an interesting cultural experience for all of us. So I want to celebrate the ambition behind Breakthrough, behind Breakthrough Starshot and all the other Breakthrough initiatives. I think we're going to have a really good time here. And I think I'll hand the floor over to Peter. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm Peter Michelson, chair of the physics department here at Stanford, which is real, although Stanford hasn't been as real as long as Harvard. But anyway, welcome to you all to the second Breakthrough Symposium. Judging by the symposium last year, I expect this symposium is going to be very memorable, and all the participants here will be very engaged in out-of-the-box thinking. So I think that's a theme that's really important. Think outside the box. The big questions that this symposium is devoted to are very profound and are increasingly engaging a broad scientific community and the community in general. So in general, astronomical observations have often surprised us. They've revealed the cosmic remnants of the birth of the universe, as well as planets and other stars. The explosion of knowledge about the universe is fueled by human curiosity and the desire for answers to profound questions. This has only been possible because of the human desire to know and because of revolutions in technology that have allowed us to observe the cosmos in new ways. So from the dawn of the space age, which I grew up in the 60s, contemporary astronomical discoveries have both advanced our understanding and stimulated the imaginations of people around the globe. And I think that's reflected in this room. These endeavors have had and continue to have important cultural reverberations that we ought to be celebrating across national and discipline boundaries. So the creative exploration of the universe and wondering about its origin, its extent, its evolution, whether life exists, these questions are as old as human civilization itself. Yet, historically, I think it's interesting that it's only been during the 20th century, and I hope this continues in the 21st century, that the study of the universe has been transformed from primarily metaphysical, theological, or ideological speculation to becoming an observational, data-driven science. And this transformation is transcending national boundaries. The world is connected across cultural and geographic boundaries. Scientific inquiry and success are increasingly dependent on embracing a global perspective. So as I look around this room, at all of you, and see the broad international participation at this meeting, I ask you all to embrace collaboration, and together we can make the planet great again. With that, I will turn it over to Pete Worden, and I also want to thank Pete and Yuri for making this all happen. Thanks, Pete.
Thank you, Peter. I was informed by Professor Michelson that since I have a tie on, I'm out of uniform for university. So, for Stanford, that's for Harvard might be different. Anyhow, I'm really honored to be here, and the Breakthrough Prize Foundation is really excited about this, the second annual Breakthrough Discuss Conference. By way of background, I used to be a government employee down the road here at NASA, and about 6 years ago, I was approached by Vanity Fair. You know, usually NASA people don't talk to Vanity Fair very often. But they were working with a number of the high net worth people here to set up a venue for the Breakthrough Prize, which, if you don't know about it, I hope you know about it soon. It's the largest prize in science, $3 million. It's somewhat larger. There's some Swedish prize I heard about. Some of you have won. So, they decided to have the venue at NASA Ames campus. It's been there since then, about the last 5 years. I was the landlord, so I got invited, and I got to hang around with the cool kids, among whom was Yuri Milner, who was the founder of the Breakthrough Prize. By the way, before I leave the prize, the nomination period is open for the next, until the end of May. Please nominate people. There's a lot of work here in this room that should be nominated for it, so it's an online nomination. The only thing is you can't nominate yourself. So, you know, look at the person to your left or right and get them to nominate you. Talking to Mr. Milner, it was clear he had an abiding interest in the question of life in the universe. I decided that this is a lot cooler than working for the government, so I left NASA to set up the Breakthrough Initiatives. We now have 3 major initiatives, which you'll hear about today and tomorrow, related to life in the universe. The key questions are, is there life anywhere else in the universe? Is there any intelligent life? And equally interesting, can we potentially send probes to study those locations? So you'll hear a lot about that today. And I'd like to now introduce our first speaker, our keynote speaker, Guillermo Escuda, who I met about 6 months ago. We made our announcement that we're going to go to the Alpha Centauri system, and we didn't have the slightest idea if there's anything interesting there. But Guillermo and his colleagues' work showed that there was something in the Proxima Centauri system, an Earth-sized planet. So just proving again, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. So that's one of the key topics here today. I'm really honored to introduce Guillaume. He's from Catalonia. Had a number of positions working on topics of direct relationship to the detection of exoplanets, particularly the nearest systems. In September 2015, he was appointed lecturer at the Queen Mary University in London. And in 2016, he led the Pale Red Dot campaign, which we're going to hear about, I presume. Also, I'd like to congratulate you and two others here today that are Time Person of the Year. So that's a really cool thing as well. So we choose well with our scientists. Gillum, welcome to Stanford and Breakthrough Discuss.